Well, here in Leeds, welcome back to SENZ, Brendan McCullum. I was pondering that of all the things that you've changed in your life most recently, perhaps the most acute would be not waking up early for breakfast radio.
Yeah, that's right. It's a blessing in disguise, really. It was just starting to get used to the life of being a radio or breakfast radio host, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and into the studio at 4:30. But funny how things work out, and very grateful for the opportunity that I've got at the moment. But I'm sure at some stage, hopefully, we'll get back to the old world as well.
Well, you know what it's like in SENZ world. A big part of our lives is audience interaction. So I've got a few questions coming in from what we've got on the text and from the TAB fans as well, and from what you've experienced the last couple of weeks in the England job. There was huge interest when you seemingly emerged from nowhere. Did you detect that people were kind of slightly shocked that, actually, Brendan McCullum, what a great fit, didn't expect him?
Look, to be honest, I didn't read a great deal of it. For me, it was very much go through the process of the decision. Once I'd kind of gone through the whole process of applying and the interviews, etc., and then when they offered me the job, I was kind of like, well, it's real now. So I just had to make sure that it was the right fit for myself and our family and our situation. And look, the challenge is a big one, no doubt. A couple of weeks in the job, I've got to say that the gamble was worth it so far, because the guys have been so receptive to what we've asked them to do, and feel very fortunate to be in a position where this team was ready for change, and the type of change that hopefully I can bring in alongside the skipper and Ben Stokes. I think it's quite a nice fit.
Did anything clinch it when you were going through your deliberations of, I actually want to do this?
Yeah, look, I'm a guy who likes quite a meaty kind of challenge, and to me, if you're going to change your life for something, then you want it to have enough of risk involved to want to make it all worthwhile. Where England sit where they sat when take over the job at the start was ready for change and needing change. And look, I'm a huge fan of Test cricket. I think Test cricket's in a situation where it needs England to be strong, to really not just sustain but also to thrive, and that's the job at hand. It's somewhat fanciful to think that you're able to do that, but if you don't think you can, then you wouldn't take the job on, and that's certainly what's in front of us. Yeah,
it felt like a big challenge. I mean, they were flat as a tack through the Australian summer and over in the Caribbean. You could detect that watching them play. Was that part of it too? Sort of, I suppose there are some similarities to the New Zealand team you took over back in 2013, a fairly low ebb, and seeing a similarity or similar opportunity here.
Yeah, that's right. I think when a team or organisation is ready for change, then you've got the ability to make significant change and make it quickly, because you can bring in some pretty simple methods. For me, it's not about adding stuff, it's about taking things away. I like to try and take as much pressure and stress off guys as possible and allow them to quieten their minds and go out there and do what they love doing, which is playing cricket and representing their country. And I think that's my skill set. I can be incredibly belligerent when it comes to sticking to that kind of message and that brief as well, and I think that resonates with players too. So very fortunate. These guys have been fantastic so far, not just great fellas, but there's some serious talent in their dressing room as well, and hopefully over the next little while we'll see it continue to develop and continue to get better and perform on the big stage.
There was probably no prouder black cap than you through your playing career. Did that feed into it, or was there any response from the New Zealand cricketing community that was a fraction on the caustic side?
Look, I'm sure there was, to a degree, and I think first and foremost I am incredibly patriotic as well. I gave sort of 15 years of my life to the black cap, and I feel as if I left it in a better position than I found it. I've got a lot of lifelong friends in that dressing room that we've been playing against, and guys who have also represented that side before, and it was somewhat difficult but at the same time, you've got a holistic view of where this game needs to go, and I'm still very much there for those guys when they need an opportunity as well, as a mentor, as a friend. But my job is to ensure that England are at the top of the tree when it comes to Test cricket, and that means that you've got to be competitive against New Zealand as well. And I'm sure that they've learned some lessons in this series which they'll look to try and improve on. Hopefully my involvement has had some sort of positive impact on this series also.
Speaking of mentors, as a coach, who do you look to as people you can draw inspiration from?
I've got a couple of guys. Obviously, there's lots of people that I've had the opportunity to cross paths with over the years who have left lasting impressions on you as not just a a player and a captain, but also now as a coach. But I've got to say, Stephen Fleming to me is a tremendous mentor. He's one of my best friends and a great mentor, and he's an incredible cricketing mind, and I often bounce a lot of stuff off him. Ricky Ponting, when we get the opportunity to catch up as well, very like-minded people, and he's got, again, a wonderful cricketing mind. And obviously the late Shane Warne was someone who I think we shared a pretty similar philosophy in terms of the simplistic nature of how cricket should be played and wanting to ensure guys have fun while they're here.
Going into that dressing room at Nottingham, a tea break, day 5, 8 or 9 days ago, Ben Folkes, who's an interesting character as well, how you brought him through in the last few weeks, but he described it as a William Wallace-style speech, which made them believe it didn't matter if they lost. I was really interested in that quote. You gave them the belief that if you go out there and have a crack here and you don't succeed, that you'll be at peace with that. Can you talk us through that philosophy?
Yeah, look, I don't want to go too much into kind of what we see, because that's very much sacred in the dressing room, but I was just echoing the sentiments of the skipper, really. His messaging has been incredibly powerful and simple in trying to remove the fear of failure. And in the end, we've played some really good cricket throughout the series. We're lucky in at times that things have gone our way, but there's moments in Test matches, there's moments in series, there's moments in careers where you've got to be strong enough to stick to what the plan was initially. And just because there's more at risk, there's more on the table, you shouldn't walk away from that, and that was very much the message, is to go out there and try and win, lads. That's what we're here for. We've done well, even if we get beat. We've played a good game of cricket. If someone's able to stand up to us and beat us when we throw everything at them, then you've got to be content with that, and that was very much the messaging. And look, the guys, they've been fantastic. I couldn't have asked for a more receptive dressing room than what we've had in the last 2 Test matches, and I put a lot of that down to the skipper, actually. I think his way and his methods are very much aligned to mine, and so when your messaging is from both angles, your coach and your captain, I think it is able to resonate a lot more often, and with a lot of authenticity, which is able to permeate right throughout the group. So that was a little snapshot of what was said. It's not always going to work when you get beat at some point as well, trying to play the same method, but that's what's going to give us our greatest chance to ensure that England is competitive and England is able to be at the top of the tree in Test cricket, which ultimately will allow Test cricket to hopefully continue to thrive.
A lot's been made of that leadership axis of McCullum and Stokes, and how you have a lot of similar energy about the way you see the game, and thus why the dressing room might have been more receptive to it, having the two of you there. There's a lot of made around leadership duos around the world too, isn't there, in Test cricket, about a coach and a captain and the relationship there. I mean, you and Stokes, do you feel that he is the perfect captain for you as coach? Yeah,
absolutely, and perfect timing as well, to be fair. I think where Stokes is at in his career, where he's at in his aspirations as a leader, and where he sees this team where it needs to go and what it requires, aligns beautifully to his personality and also to mine. And I think the danger probably was that we would be too similar, but I think both of us have got such motivation to try and improve the side that we give and we take in areas that we need to, and we try and ensure that we surround ourselves with some leaders within the group as well, both on the field and also around your support staff and the like, who are able to maybe fill in some of the gaps where we may not be as strong as well. So understanding that we're not the perfect products either, but I think being able to bounce off each other and to also push each other towards the danger as well, because sometimes even you have doubts, and if you're able to have that filtering system between both the captain and the coach, and to remain on task with what we're trying to achieve and the direction that we want to go, then I think it gives you a better chance of ensuring that there's consistency with that message.
You said before that you think world cricket requires a strong England Test team, and I suppose related to that, you've got an opportunity here to make Test cricket more attractive more broadly. Do you sense that as coach, and between you and Ben, you can do a lot of good for world cricket, Test cricket specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I know it sounds pretty lofty to say that that's what your ambitions are at the outset, but I don't see a problem with that. I think Test cricket needs it. I think the game's been around for 100 years and it's been amazing. But society's different now. Society, it wants things more instant. It wants things quicker, and Test cricket maybe isn't as significant in some countries as it once was. So for us, it's a matter of trying to ensure that Test cricket is still sexy and people want to watch it. And for that to happen, I genuinely believe England, with the the history of the game here, and also the support base that it has throughout this country as well, and where it also sits at the table of big players in international cricket. If England is strong, then Test cricket's got a real chance of striving and of thriving and being successful, and that's what's in front of us. And to do that, you've got to play an attractive brand of Test cricket, and you've got to be prepared to lose sometimes to be able to try and play that style and to win Test matches, and to win not just fans which are already there, but to also encourage new fans to come watch us play Test cricket. Yeah,
because, I mean, cricket in England's got a reputation as being careful, cautious, conservative. What you're doing is something quite different to that. You're going to have to take the public on that journey with you too. You've got the dressing room, but there's a bigger picture at play as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the responsibility, and you've got to be very careful you don't try and coerce people into your way of thinking. You've got to do it with authenticity. You've got to go out there and try and play and let your actions speak for the words that you've said at the outset, and that's what's in front of us. There's also a lot of planning and preparation which goes into it. It's not just an out-and-out gung-ho approach. There's times where we will have to absorb pressure, and we've got to be smart enough and intelligent enough to identify those moments, and then also act when those moments are at play to be able to stay in the game before you can start to transfer pressure on opposition sides. So you've got to be a little careful around some of your messaging there, that it's not just a cavalier type of approach. When the time comes, when the pressure's on and the game's in the balance, we will be prepared to be positive and to take those positive options, and hopefully more times than not that will result in success.
As was the case here in Leeds back in 2015, a Test victory. You had a fairly big hand in. Good memories returning to Headingley over the last couple of days?
Yeah, absolutely. The sun's been shining here as well for 3 days in a row, which is very